End of the Enders. NOX Corp is an elite faction with unclear motives. They seem honorable, but perhaps a bit extreme on their views toward G-types. Deep spies have gained intel on the whereabouts of a Nebi scientist who was thought to be capable of creating the End of the Enders disease. Obtaining this knowledge could be a checkmate for them in their genocidal endgame. The undercover deep spies have tracked the target's party and are ready to kidnap the scientist. As a NOX Corp agent, you could be unaware of your employer's ultimate plan and could think that you're serving a great purpose. Or you could give a damn about the moral aspect and are collecting a check. How do you handle the objective? So this event, I had a character that joined the game named Jason Hunter, and with him, he brought the backstory of being part of a faction called NOX Corp, and they are enemies of G-types. They hate G-types. They want to kill all G-types. I thought that this would be a great platform for characters for a different type of enemy that was opposed to G-types. So in that description, I was making it so that if there were players that wanted to join and be part of a faction, a soldier faction, they could without the baggage of being hating a particular type of person. They could just be in NOX Corp just for the money, or they could just be naive. But Jason Hunter is definitely part of NOX Corp. He's their champion. So you would be, if you were to join this one, you would be joining him. You would be joining NOX Corp and collecting this item from the scientist. Now, obviously, this scientist is a particular player by the name of Nendra, who is a Nebi scientist who discovered the End of Enders, which is a virus that was created by a player. It was submitted. It was submitted through the lore, and what it does is, let's see here. Here we go. End of the Enders was submitted by a player. This disease was created to help the little man rise up. It attacks those who are deemed the strongest and weakens them to the point where someone who is ordinary is capable of dealing with them. It was released into the air after the remains of the Grinfall struck the planet's surface. Grinfall is that calamity that's programmed by the tank to trigger mutations. It's a giant rock that hits the planet that was created by Luperkin. It lingers in the air and doesn't die out. Everyone has been infected, but the disease is dormant in those who are not the strongest. So anyway, it's obvious it's a disease that probably will weaken the strongest people. And though I don't condone people submitting things that are specifically designed to take out a particular person, this is something that can affect anybody, and I saw it as something that can give someone leverage and really throw once thrown in the mix, it could really shake things up. Which kind of reinforces the fact that it's just a story game. Win or lose, it's a story. Because imagine if you got hit with this and then you got killed, you know what I mean? So anything can happen to you. Just have fun while you're here. Just like the Fist of the Endless. I remember when the Fist of the Endless won, there were, I think the player of Myra Dare flipping the fuck out because they felt it would break the game. And I'm like, you don't understand the game. You don't understand the game. It's just story. I purposely put these things in there to shake things up, to get people worried, about, maybe they need to join up to take out a person who has one of these things, or maybe they need to join that person. The whole point is to mix things up. And I rewarded the End of the Enders virus to Nendra Bello because she's a geneticist, I believe, master of biology, I believe, and she spent a story phase to do research. And this was one of her rewards. This is something that her character was cooking up in the labs while all the trials were going on with Makai Funuichi. She was successful in doing this, and remember, Makai was killed, and they came for her at her lab. But Tempest also came and got her out of there, and they dipped out. But before she left, she took the End of the Enders. Meanwhile, Nox saw that, and now they're after it. Because they want to use the End of the Enders to kill G-types. We don't know what Nendra wants to do with the End of the Enders, but I'll tell you that the End of the Enders is a very, very powerful weapon, obviously, right? So this whole mission was created about the End of the Enders, and to get it from Nendra Bello. NOX Corp is after Nendra Bello. I mean, at any point in time, an event can be made to go specifically after a particular person. And that's what this is. So I wanted to see not only who would join NOX Corp. We had a lot of new characters who I felt may like to be in that kind of situation, but also leaving it open for players who want to protect Nendra Bello, which would naturally be the Gate Center and anyone who's aligned with Gate. What's cool about this is it actually played out the way I thought it would. And the way I thought it would play out, Nox, Jason Hunter would be alone. I always intended for him to be alone. I imagine a lot of people wouldn't want to hate a particular G-type, and it's just hate G-types. And it's just the role-playing idea. If you want to role-play as someone who's prejudiced towards G-types, there's definitely a place for that. That's a trope that we've seen in X-Men before. And I remember when Jason Hunter first came into the Discord, he was role-playing as a character who hates G-types, and I thought that was really damn cool, because there was no one like that. So I already intended for Jason Hunter to be a very powerful enemy with the backing of the NOX Corp in his Neo suit. A Neo suit that's designed to kill G-types. So, NOX Corp, Jason Hunter obviously took that mission. His three bullet points that he put was: Hunter will use his Neo suit to combat the G-types. He will equip himself with gamma neutralizing bombs, nets, rockets, and lasers. And with superior tactical combat, which is one of his abilities, he would be at the top of the battle above everyone else, so he can get the End of the Enders. I have all the information to combat G-types. The NOX operatives are just as equipped, and we are a better team together. So, with that said, they find Nendra Bello. At the time, Tempest is hiding out because, remember, he had contacted Haven Guard, who are on their way to come extract him out of Nibu. And they're attacked by, obviously, the Nebi soldiers, but that was the least of their worries. Eventually, Nox would come. Now, again, back to the first time Nox was introduced. There's a player called Krypton who first made an appearance in a couple episodes ago, and he was the one that sniped those Virgin tier troopers. And remember, a helicopter came that said Nox on it to pick him up. To kidnap and pick up that trooper. That just leads to something else, but I just kind of wanted to point out that the NOX Corp, there's different people in NOX Corp, and though Krypton he may have been, I think he was hired by NOX to take those guys out, because I remember he got paid at the end, and he was curious as to why he got paid so much money from NOX to take out those troopers, and that's something I left open for him to discover. But anyway, NOX arrives, Jason Hunter, and we see a battle take place between him and some members of Haven Guard when they come to save Tempest. And a lot of what happens in that episode is really Jason Hunter is able to hold his own, just because of how powerful his suit is and how it's designed to take out G-types, and it's all of its neutralization power. So we see this big battle between Jason Hunter. Well, yeah, NOX, because they were there supporting him. People, I don't know how, you can imagine how you imagine things, but the way I envisioned it was Jason Hunter was fighting Vimius, Aurora, Killjoy, all while there is a massive war going on in the background between NOX Corp and Haven Guard, and with the Nebby Warriors mixed in there as well. And I'm just picturing Jason Hunter in his Neo suit, really going ham, really going hard in the paint, holding his own, because he's an unstoppable beast. He's equipped with all these different tools. And though I may not have highlighted everything, I want people, when they listen to this audio drama, to imagine things going on in their head. In addition to what I'm saying, all I'm doing is just highlighting what's happening. But you have him fighting Vimius, who is this new character, and probably one of my, I really like Vimius because he's such a unique. First off, Vimius is like the first Psyquadrian character, and Psyquadrians are people who go get a surgery done to themselves so that they become centaurs, cybernetic centaurs. And so what you have here is he's fighting him and O'Glaren, who's another new character who really went hard in the paint this episode to protect Nendra Bello. They're fighting Jason Hunter. O'Glaren is beast mode, but Jason Hunter is able to hold his own, and then Aurora gets involved. Aurora is a character that gets involved. We'll dive more into those, but the main point I want to make is that NOX is able to hold his own. Jason Hunter, because of his backup, his equipment, and what his armor and stuff does. And he's fighting them, and eventually, obviously, they're able to wear him down. But he's very persistent, and he comes back, and he's really trying to get that end of the enders. But eventually, he's done away with. But I really like him as an antagonist. What he stands for, he opposes a lot, and we needed that because you have this overarching enemy with the Necrofiends. Then you have the Virgin Tears, and then you have a more direct enemy to the G-type people, who are just unaware of, everything happening outside the planet, but they just don't like G-type. So that's just another problem that people have to deal with. And I think it's necessary. I think it's welcomed. I know it's welcomed. I personally, I like that character and everything he stands for. But he was unsuccessful. So he did fail that objective. Obviously, the way everything played out, he failed that role. But I definitely wanted to I wanted his appearance, his debut, to be pretty darn cool. The way I envisioned, I did that one episode that was leading up to it, leading up to the final episode, where you saw that he preaches, he pretty much talks to the people. They all look up to him. He has his suit, his captain, his commander. They're like, hey, buddy, go in there. Oh, and by the way, try this new virus. I knew that I wanted there to be a virus that occurred. And I even gave Tempest the heads up because his character can see in the future. So as one of his perks, I told him about something that's going to happen in the future. and that's this virus that's going to get released upon everybody. That's going to cause side effects to any person who has more than 2 mutant abilities. So any player, any character that exists right now that has more than 2, has 2 or more mutant abilities. So remember, you can have skills, you can have passive effects, you can have mutant abilities. If you have 2 or more mutant abilities, you're going to be affected by this virus that was released by the NOX Corp. And they gave Jason this virus to test out, and he used it on Aurora. And that's when we see Aurora, her intestines turn to water. It causes great pain. It cripples her. That is a side effect of the virus. It's going to cause weaknesses by way of a random mutation that's going to be, it's going to debilitate the character. So I'm going to actually give every character who has 2 abilities or mutant abilities or more a weakness. And I want to do that not only for the story's sake, but I think it would be interesting for you to have to role play through having a weakness like that. And it's going to be completely random. It's something that you're going to have to deal with. It's going to be something that can affect you. But it just adds to the story. And this is going to be a result of that virus that when he says, hey, Jason Hunter, he tells everybody, he green lights it and then releases it across the whole world. You're going to start to see people feel those effects. I told Tempest about this because he has, he can see in time. So that's why he created that vaccine, that remedy, that elixir. And if you remember, he gave it to Jarrett. I think he specifically stated he wanted Jarrett to have one, and he wanted Jacob Bastion to have one. So those who actually have that elixir, when they take it, they will not feel those effects. If they were to get it anyway. I can't recall if they have 2 or more abilities, but they'll be protected if they drink those. Everyone else is actually going to have a side effect. It's going to be like a negative perk to give you those weaknesses. So yeah, that's what he does to Aurora. And in regards to that side effect, I released a lore contest where it was about scientists and how mutations were created, because I knew this season I wanted to kind of go into different belief systems. And Tempest, the player of Tempest, actually somebody, I believe it was the player of Tempest, he submitted an idea that pretty much said that it would be something that would cause a weakness. It stemmed from a submission that he made, and I thought, you know what? I like that idea. I want everybody to have a weakness, and that's kind of how it was born. It was something that he created, and that's why we're going to proceed with that. But again, it's just going to be fun. It's going to be something that you'll just have to consider when you're submitting things. Weaknesses, I feel like, drive more role play, drives more engagement with the character, and forces them to be creative if they have a weakness. And if you played tabletop RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, weaknesses always kind of really round out your character, so you're not like so you have some adversities to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, he's able to pull that off while he's fighting them, before he's ultimately dispatched. He's ultimately taken out, neutralized, thanks to Circuit, and we'll definitely dive into that. But yeah, I would definitely like. I think it would be cool if Hunter were to continue on his path of hatred. What's more interesting about Jason Hunter is that he is a G-type. He just doesn't know it yet, and that should be interesting, right?